Well, the book certainly does that. It's, as I say, an easy to read book, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't challenge. It's written in language that people are going to find absolutely accessible. And what I find interesting is that, again, that point that you constantly use story. And we see in the scripture that there is story after story. We read those narratives.
So in chapter 2, you talk about how we feel most alive when we're using the gifts that God gave us, and how if you're not doing that, you can start feeling like apathetic or even depressed. And I loved that because I know it to be true. In my own life, I have definitely experienced that. So another thing that I loved is I wanted to talk about in chapter 15, you speak about how a lot of people live focused on the future instead of here and now. And this is a struggle for me, and I know it is for pretty much everybody. We're so anxious to get to where we think we need to be that we're missing out on the here and now, which life is the here and now. And you mentioned how the Bible specifically says that we're supposed to live for today. I'm really excited about this book. I think it's so needed. I think that it's something that, people should definitely go grab, because audience, it's a struggle. It's a struggle for all of us, but it is life-changing when you start to make sure that you're putting God in every single day of your life, not just on Sunday morning.
Talking about his new book, Searching for Seven. I know me and my wife have really enjoyed it so far, and I hope everybody out there that is listening can find the book and read it. It will really make you think. Think about how you're searching God. Are you just doing it the lazy way, just picking up the Bible whenever? Or are you searching God the way he wants you to search him 7 days a week?
Sometimes we make it into this really tough and hard and legalistic thing to do. But Tyler's explanation of how to search for God and how to find God and how to have God be a part of your everyday life is super easy. It's super non-intimidating, and it just sheds some light on different aspects of how to do it and how to practically include it in your life without feeling overwhelmed by it. So I think you'll be blessed by it.
And then I got to get your book, and I had to make sure I got it on Kindle because I'm cheap. Do you mind if I loan this to somebody on my Kindle? It is a super read.
I would just tell people, I found it's very accessible. It's easy to read. It's it's written so some authors or Christian authors, it tends to be this intellectual pursuit maybe more than anything, and so they try to make it just a little harder for the average guy like myself to just dig into it. And I feel like you weren't trying to do that. You weren't trying to make it any more than being yourself. And I appreciated that because it's just very accessible to understand. You're right to the point.
Really caught me right away is that you were doing a lot of relational storytelling. And that drew me in quickly. So that's great. I mean, just from a reader's perspective, that drew me in and got me interested right away. It wasn't that someone telling me what they wanted me to hear. It was, hey, this is kind of putting it out there, and drew me in. So that was really cool.
Not a theologian or a deep person. Yeah, it's like you wrote the book to me, man. So thank you for that. I'm very much a direct guy, and the book was very much it was just great to the point, and I love that.
This is the best way to follow, like the way Jesus did. He told a lot of stories, and that reaches people, because more than just coming and giving 127 Bible verses, if you can give a story and bring out a message, it reaches the hearts of people so much. It's so true. And I like the fact that you mentioned specifically about how your story matters. It's something specifically mentioned about your book.
And so, I look at your book, and I have it here in front of me. You talk about faith, and then you go and you talk about just say yes. Well, the just say yes part can't happen until the faith part happens, right? And you have your story about the 99 and all that, and I like how you really built up, at least I really noticed the first 6-7 chapters, everything was a build up. You kind of just your journey, and you take us along with your journey about how your faith, and then how you had the faith, and then you had to exercise your faith, and how it's shown, and then just how it just keeps going. And it was that was one of the concepts I like, because it kept me engaged, which is, like you said, like a good album.
As a avid reader and someone, like, I'm pretty critical on books, and I agree with Carl. Like, when I got to the end of a chapter, it's like, okay, I want to keep going, and normally my routine would be like one chapter and I put it down, and then I wait the next day and whatever. But no, and I want to say too, and it's a couple of sentences in here that, as a veteran, like, it really struck with me. And it was chapter 14, the no pain, no gain. And in it, you talk about, if you struggle with mental health, depression, or suicidal thoughts, I love that you put this in here. You are no less of a person and no less of a Christian than anyone else. And sometimes the pain can't be explained or articulated fully, but it is still there. And then you go on and at the bottom, it's talking about the questions we always get. Well, how can God allow suffering and children starving and all this stuff? And, well, we're sinful people. But the bringing light to, like, if you have this struggle, you are no less important to God. And that's a powerful message, that needs to get out there, especially right now, with this craziness we're all living in.
Stories. I love the book. As a matter of fact, the one chapter where it talks about God's will in your life is going to help me explain it to my son when he asked me that question.